What's going on, guys? So I think the number one complaint that you all have heard from me regarding our brand new 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali pickup truck is the seat comfort. And they are the Denali seats, but they are not the same seats that you would get in the Denali Ultimate with the massaging seat feature. Now, I can't comment on those in terms of long-term driving, even though I've actually experienced them several times on several trucks, including a truck that GMC provided me for review for a week. But I didn't take that truck on more than maybe a 150-mile drive at a time, so I really wasn't able to give you a definitive answer on how comfortable they were. But having the massaging seat feature certainly does help whenever you're on a prolonged trip and you want to have a little bit of massaging taking place across your back and your bottom when you're driving. So those seats definitely have an advantage over these. These seats do not have a massaging feature. They give you lumbar control and they essentially are power seats. But these are the standard Denali seats that you get in a Denali pickup truck whenever you purchase it with this package. And I don't think there's a heck of a lot of difference between these and just the standard leather trim seats you might get on an SLE or even a Chevy High Country pickup truck that has very similar seats overall. But there are a lot of products on the market, and Amazon sells several of them that are designed specifically to make you feel better on longer trips whenever you're sitting down in a seat that may be a little uncomfortable for you. So let me show you what we're going to be evaluating for the next few days. Okay, so in front of me, you were looking at three products that I purchased off of Amazon that are designed to make your seating experience a bit more comfortable in a vehicle that may not have the most comfortable seats. Now, I wouldn't describe the seats as terribly uncomfortable. I would describe them as very firm. So if you like that, if you prefer that, then you may actually really like the seats. But for me, for my wife, and several other people, as well as people who have commented on the videos, this is one area that folks generally say could be improved. But in front of me, again, we have three products here that I purchased off of Amazon. And these are relatively common products that you may buy if you're not looking to spend a heck of a lot of money, let's say under $50 per seat, and you want to have options to improve the comfort of the seat itself. So first, we have the traditional wood beaded seat cushion. This is kind of interesting to me because I've personally seen these in just about every taxi cab I've ever been in, and even in a lot of Uber and Lyft vehicles as well. So there has to be something going on here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these make my back feel on a 300-mile drive. And then moving on to the next one. So this is a back lumbar support made out of foam, kind of like a memory foam material. It comes in this little case that you probably will never be able to fit the thing back into once you take it off. But yeah, this just kind of loops around the back of the headrest and then the bottom, and then it gives you the ability to give you a little bit of extra lumbar support as well as cushion if you don't have it. So that's kind of cool. And the one that's probably most intriguing to me is this. So this is actually inflatable. And I think it's positioned like this, actually like that. It has two little inflation nozzles here, one right here, and then you have one, I think on the top back, right there. And then you have a little drain release valve right here. But the only problem I see with some of these is they're kind of in positions that I think you'd be able to feel them. But maybe once this is inflated, you won't be able to feel them. But this is going to be interesting to me because I actually hadn't seen this before until I was looking for these types of products, and then I happened to come across it. And it had kind of mixed reviews. So this was the most common one, which kind of extends slightly over to the bottom, and then it gives you some side support, center support. But this is going to be kind of the wild card because I'm really interested to see if this actually improves the comfort of the seat itself. But these are the three products we're going to be testing. And the way we're going to do this test, I think, is going to be pretty definitive, at least for us. We're going to have two of them in the vehicle at any given time. We're going to take about a 300-mile trip, my wife and I, and then we're going to swap them. And we'll take another 300-mile trip and we'll specifically see how they feel. And whichever one wins out of these two, we'll go up against this one. And we'll see if air actually improves comfort versus cushioning versus wood. So this will be really interesting. And again, whoever comes out on top between these two will then compete against this one. Now, it could be mixed. My wife could absolutely love this and I could hate it. And she may absolutely hate this, but I could love it. So if that's the case, then we'll just run the test a little longer. We may actually get other people involved to see specifically which one they enjoy the most and if any of these truly help make a seat more comfortable. So Kind of the perk behind this is that the wooden beads space your back off of the seat, and it allows some airflow, so your back doesn't sweat as much, and you're a little bit more comfortable because of that. And it's also supposed to provide kind of a massaging effect, because these beads can kind of roll as you go over bumps and just the road in general. This, again, being memory foam, it's going to be very similar to a bed, a mattress, right? That's made out of memory foam. It's going to compress, it's going to kind of mold to fit your back, and we'll see how comfortable that one is. And air, well, air is air, right? So you have these airbags, and, you know, they're very likely going to feel like airbags behind you, but it's going to be interesting to see from a lumbar perspective as well as just from a spinal support perspective if these help. And I still think I have this backwards, actually. Maybe this is what you sit on. It really didn't come with much instructions, so it was essentially in a bag, and I can probably figure this out pretty quickly. But I think this goes around your headrest up here, and this may go around your lower back or maybe even your butt area. I'm honestly not 100% sure, so I'm gonna have to go find someone who's installed one of these before, maybe find a video on them from the manufacturer and see specifically how this one's set up. I inflated this, but then I deflated this one, but I had this whole thing inflated just to kind of see what it would look like. But what do you think? Have you used a wood beaded seat cushion before? What's your opinion of these? What specifically did this help address if you used it? And why does just about every taxi cab in New York City have one of these in it? Have you used these, memory foam? Has that worked for you? And then finally, have you tried something like this? I'd love to know. And if you have an alternative, if you have a solution that is, again, in that $50 or less price point per seat that you think can actually help improve the comfort of a seat, let me know. I know there are a lot of seat covers that have integrated padding into them. Maybe those help, and it might be interesting to pit some of those against some of these solutions, but those tend to cost a lot more money, and quite frankly, they're not as easy to remove if they're not as comfortable as you thought they might be. You have to put a lot of work into getting them in place, and then once they're in place, again, they're kind of one of those things you don't want to have to remove unless you have to remove them. But leave a comment below. I would love to know your opinion on these products, and if you've used any of them in the past and how they've worked for you, and if you found a better solution, what that solution may be. So again, this is going to take place over probably a couple of weeks, because I want to make sure we make the test definitive. We want to make sure that it's the type of test that is credible. So I'm not going to do it all in one video. I just wanted to kind of introduce the products to you so you have kind of an idea of what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be testing, and what that test is going to involve. And over this period of time, if you can think of something better, throw an Amazon link in, send me an email, send me a comment, something that lets me know what product you think is better, what's worked well for you, and we may pick one of those up and include it in the test as well. Okay, so we have all three of these unboxed, starting with the wooden beads. And for the life of me, I don't know how this would be comfortable. I mean, if you've used wooden beads on your car seat before, please let me know if it is like a comfortable experience. And I don't even know what side you put this on. I mean, is it directional? So I can understand the ventilation portion where it spaces your back off of the seat, so it allows air to kind of cool your back. But I don't know if I would actually find this comfortable, but we'll find out, I guess. Next to it is memory foam. You can see how it kind of tapers in here at the back. I can see how this could provide some lumbar support for sure. Definitely gets thinner towards the top. But if I were a betting man, I'd probably say this one is going to win. Air, I don't know. Yeah, this one also just kind of feels a little weird. And I'm not sure what's going on here. So only a little bit of air can actually seep from these side lumbar bags to the main bag, because if I squeeze it, I can actually hear the air feeding back into the main bag. Let's set these in the truck and kind of see how they look. Let's start with the beads. Okay, so that was pretty much effortless. You pretty much just slide the headrest up in order to get that in place, and then there's some string on the back. I'm not going to put that on right now. One thing I don't like about GM headrests, though, is the fact that they don't tilt forward. So they're static. They go up and down, but they don't tilt forward, which is kind of weird, peculiar, especially on a Denali. You know, I'm going to sit in this real quick and see how it feels. Okay, so this, it's kind of interesting, actually. It doesn't feel bad. It feels like I'm sitting on a bunch of wooden beads, which I know I am, but you can roll a little bit, so your butt slides a little bit on them. I don't know how I feel about them though. It's kind of weird. I don't know if they'll make my back feel better on a longer trip, and I don't imagine they make the seat feel any more cushy or comfortable, because I'm not really getting that. But I am kind of getting that little massaging feel going on. Very little of it though. I'm wearing a coat right now. But again, I could probably see how they can help ventilate your back, so that's kind of cool. Anyways, let's pull these out. Let's put the memory foam back here and see how it feels. Okay, sorry, some water droplets are dropping on it, but this is remnants of the beads. Hope I don't get a splinter. Okay, so this would just sit right here. This, I guess, would go around the two supports for the headrest, and then this bottom one would go around the bottom. But let's just kind of see how this feels right now. Okay, so, you know, it doesn't feel bad. I can definitely feel the additional lumbar support, but more importantly, I'm going to have to scoot the seat back probably a couple of inches, because my knees are now touching the front dash section right here. It certainly moves you more forward in your seat, so you're going to get less under leg support because your legs are going to overhang the seat now, but that might not matter to a lot of folks. I don't think a lot of people actually care about the support they get in that one area, but it doesn't feel bad. It actually feels kind of factory, if that makes sense. You can definitely tell that it's a bit more squishy, a little bit more soft and plush, and it's in the right area too, so I don't need it in my upper back. It's definitely supporting my lower back. You know, if I move the seat back a few inches, that's kind of cool actually. It's an interesting feel. Definitely gives you that support in the back, and if I fill up the lumbar, that's kind of the cool thing about it, is because it's right in front of the truck's lumbar support. I can increase that, and this actually might help. Let me lean the seat forward a little bit, because again, this is kind of pushing out your lower back a couple of inches. This one's kind of interesting because it feels almost factory. If you had hopped in this truck and this was just there, you would kind of just expect it to feel this way, if that makes sense. But no, this isn't bad at all. This one's actually kind of cool. It does make you feel like you're leaning in like this a little bit, so you have to probably adjust your backrest up slightly to compensate for that. But it's not bad. Okay, let's move on to the airbag. This ought to be interesting. Before I do that, I just wanted to show you how this definitely compressed in, and it's kind of returning to its normal position as it inflates back. Okay, so finally, moving on to the interesting airbag setup. Let's see how this one works. Okay, so here it is. And yeah, it looks like this bottom portion sits just like that. It's got some water droplets on it, so those aren't stains or anything. And they have several different flavors of this, some that go underneath you as well, but this is kind of how it's supposed to look. All right, let's see how this one feels. Okay. Like the memory foam, this is definitely pushing me up in the chair. Let's see here. I'm going to scoot the seat back a little bit. I'm not going to lie, this is actually pretty dang comfortable, and I think it's the cheapest among it all. So this one was like $19. Super, super affordable. Everything else is like $35, $20, $25, I don't know. Everything was pretty inexpensive. But this actually doesn't feel bad. I don't feel either of the air valve locations. I thought that might be poking towards my back a little bit. But yeah, these don't feel bad, or this doesn't feel bad. This is the airbag, and it's actually kind of comfortable. A lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be, for sure. It's kind of crazy. Huh. But yeah, definitely it feels pretty good, to be honest. It's hard for me to express that. So far, this one feels like it probably would provide the most support, and it looks the second most awkward after the beads. That is kind of cool. But yeah, we're definitely going to be able to test these out and see how we feel about them. And hopefully give you some impressions on if any of this stuff can actually make the seat feel better in your vehicle, especially if you don't think the seat in your vehicle is that comfortable. Anyways, guys, I'll throw links in the description of this video to all of these, but I don't recommend going out and buying them until I've given you an honest evaluation of how I feel about them. But yeah, so the next step is that we're going to take these things out for long trips, and we're going to actually see which one's more comfortable. And my wife and I are going to swap back and forth with them, so we really get a good evaluation of different body types, different weights, different seating positions, things like that, to see if they actually help. So I think I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to let my wife start with the beads. Anyways, hang tight for the next video on this topic, because we'll give you an update and let you know how we feel about them. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.